Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason, and as you can tell, we are on our way. We're actually on our way back to the dyno. Taking the Assblazer to get a tune, and I really am curious to see what kind of power this thing makes. If you followed along when I put this one together, you'll know I went way more in depth on this thing in the engine and transmission than I did on that silver single cab that I got dynoed a couple weeks ago. This one, it started out with a stock 5.7 liter LS1 that I completely disassembled, cleaned up the whole bottom end. It didn't need to be bored or anything like that, so it's still a stock rod and piston bottom end. I did put new rings in it, and we put a pretty substantial camshaft in this one, a bit bigger than the cam that we used in the silver truck. What else? Oh, I ported the cylinder heads on this thing, converted it to a TBSS intake, big 4-bolt throttle body, long tube headers, full stainless exhaust, the whole deal. And then the transmission, did a whole bunch of goodies too as well. And I've always been curious what kind of power this thing actually makes, but beyond that, I've just never been quite satisfied with the tune. And I don't know if it's just my experience level, or maybe it's just the combination that I have on this thing. But it's super rich at idle, like so rich that you can smell that it's rich, and I want to try to get that sorted out. But also I feel like you can feel a kind of flat spot toward the top of the RPM range, but I feel like it should still be pulling pretty hard getting into the top of the RPM range based on the heads and the cam we've got into this thing. So we're headed back to DGR Performance. I'm going to let him tune on it, see what he can get out of it, see if he can make it run a little less rich at idle and better at wide open, and what kind of power this thing makes. I'm really curious what kind of power it actually puts down at the rear wheels. So we're on our way. I'll probably bring you guys back once we're strapped down and getting started on the dyno. Well, I'm back at the house, everybody. Rest of the dyno session went good. We tried changing the timing a little bit. We tried changing the fuel a little bit. And as you saw in the video here, the best we wound up getting out of it was 362 horsepower and 359 pound-feet of torque at the rear wheels, which I'm really not upset about, guys. It's a stock bottom end LS1 with cylinder heads that I ported and a cam, valve springs, and converted to a TBSS intake, as well as, you know, long tube headers and full exhaust. But for an engine that I really don't have a ton of money into, the thing runs great. To be making that kind of power at the rear wheels, it's got to be over 400 horsepower at the crank, which I'm totally happy with that. And the thing, I gotta tell you, driving it home, and I just took it out to run an errand. I would have brought you along, except it's dark outside and you wouldn't be able to see anything. It runs and drives so much better than it did before. One of the gripes I had with it was it just would not idle correctly. It didn't like to return to idle after being heavy on the throttle. You know, trying to back into a parking space, if you let off the throttle, it would die sometimes. And it's all taken care of. It starts right up when you flick the key and just idles exactly how it should now. It returns to idle really well. And I really think the drivability is much better too. That flattening off that I was feeling at the top is gone. It pulls hard all the way until it shifts, and then it just keeps on pulling hard. So I'm really happy with it. The tune was worth every penny, and altogether, he spent about 6 hours working on this thing, and he's been tuning for about 20 years, he was telling me. And the really cool thing is Dave showed me and explained to me a lot of what he was doing in HP tuners. So that's, I mean, I'm like a sponge when it's something I'm interested in. So I absorbed and learned a lot from him today, which will help me in the future if I'm doing any other engines, tuning, things like that. But also just knowing as much experience as he has and some of the things he had trouble with. The X-Link was giving him a hard time trying to get it to idle correctly, but he got that figured out. The map sensor scaling wasn't quite right, so he got that figured out. The injector scaling wasn't quite right. He got that sorted out for me. So, like, the fact that it still took him about 6 hours to get it all sorted out, I mean, it probably would have taken me 3 times that amount of time to do it. So I super appreciate him taking the time to teach me that stuff while he was doing it. But also, like I said, worth every penny to pay him versus spending 12, 14, 16 hours of my time trying to learn it all through the internet and then make the corrections that it needed. Especially considering, like, I didn't even know where to look to begin. So learning from somebody that really knows what they're doing is invaluable. And to me, that was a real added benefit of paying for his tuning, for his expertise. So yeah, like I said, I'm super pumped with the amount of power it made. Very happy with the drivability. It's kind of made me fall in love with the truck again. Like, it was annoying to me before to drive because it would stall and it didn't idle right and those things. But now that they're sorted out, like just this evening and this afternoon driving it around, like, man, I'm really enjoying it again. So we'll see if that inspires me to make more changes, more improvements, or just drive it and enjoy it and go from there. But I think that's it for this video. I might go out and get some clips of riding around in it tomorrow or some full throttle pulls. We'll see. And if I do, you'll see that now. If not, take care until the next video.